Hi, and welcome to the VOILA Method podcast, Solutions for the Mind, Body, and Soul with Joel Crandall, the creator and developer of the VOILA Method. The VOILA Method bridges the gap between the complex, making it simple, using an assessment and a treatment protocol that aligns the mind, the body, and the spirit. VOILA Method is more than a technique, it's a lifestyle to help you as a practitioner and your client.
And today my guest is Teresa Brenneman of Tricore Fitness out of Phoenix, Arizona. She's a fitness instructor. She does FST, Pilates, and she also incorporates in the VOILA Method. Thank you for joining me, Teresa.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Joel.
How are you today?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for joining me. I've been looking forward to talking to you for a while.
Yeah.
We've had some topics that we wanted to cover and whatnot. And so here we are. So
Yeah.
let's start with the first one I usually start off everybody with. And since you've taken the VOILA Method and now you're 2.5, how has VOILA Method helped you?
I mean, let me count the ways. Really, I mean, if I were to get right to the point, VOILA completely changed my life. It opened up all these doors for me that I didn't even fathom were possible, to be honest. It just kind of got me on this path of curiosity and excitement and joy that I never knew I could find. It was just like a path that cleared open for me, and I was like, that is the way to go.
Yeah,
but
that last line gave me goosebumps, Teresa.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
partly why is because I remember seeing you the first class and now seeing you today and just watching you over the last, 2 years?
Yeah.
It's been a joy of mine.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
yeah, it's just awesome. It gives you, what VOILA really has done is it empowered me to ask questions and to seek answers instead of just, accepting something that somebody tells you.
yes.
Right. And I'm not just talking about physical pain, which is, where you start with VOILA when you first start learning is the physical component, but there's just so many parts of life that it ties into, and it's opened up my mind and my heart to just a whole new world, essentially. So
Yeah, it's just been beautiful watching you blossom. It really
yeah.
has. And, we'll be honest with everybody. I was difficult with you,
Yeah.
especially doing your level 1 certification. You had the protocol down pat,
Yeah.
but I still kept sending the videos back and said, do it again. And now you understand.
It was hard.
why, right?
Yeah. And that's hard, especially coming from, I think, the way that we're raised in society is like pass fail, A, B, C, D. And it's just like you automatically, it's almost like you go back to being a little kid of a teacher telling you you're not good enough. And I started noticing like I was having these like self-esteem issues around it. And I knew you didn't mean it that way. And you were just trying to help me grow. And it turned out that was really the issue.
Yeah.
That was the issue in the first place. So it was like, I'm not believing in myself. I don't have confidence around this. So like, and as soon as something's not perfect, then that's when I kind of melt down, and so it really brought up my issues with perfectionism, and that was quite the journey. I mean, I learned a lot just from the testing experience. So I know people are usually kind of afraid of the testing experience when they first get into that, and I think that's what it is. That's what it's from, is just the way that we're kind of programmed growing up,
Yeah, you just uncovered a whole lot there in that last response. And the thing was, you were passing. You did pass, but I still kept making you do the videos again.
Yeah.
And it was because I saw something in you that just needed a little, I don't know, there's not a great word to use, but I saw something in you and I needed to bring it out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me saying,
Yeah.
I need to do this out. From an ego, I'm like, she's right there. She's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could feel that, like it was like I would send in the videos and I'd be like, oh, that was good. I'm going to pass that time. And then it would be like, nope, try again. And I'm like, what the heck? But then it was like, when I finally passed, I was like, Oh, okay. Like it was light bulb moment.
Yeah,
So
because if you go back and watch those videos, they were all good.
yeah.
They really
Yeah.
were, right? And I think I told you in class, I was harder on you than almost everybody else. That's because I saw this, what I'm seeing in front of me today.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think if I were to go watch those videos now, it would feel like a lifetime ago. It would feel like such a
Right?
different person.
And who is that?
Seriously, I don't even know.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so hard for people to explain like what voila is and what it can do. It's just experiences you have to experience, and this is why I like talking to you, to all the attendees, is so you guys can share your experiences.
Yeah,
with
totally.
everybody else.
And everybody has a different experience,
Mhm.
it's your journey, it's your path, so it's not going to be the same. We all see the world through different eyes, and
Yeah,
we hear different things, so
and that's the beauty, right? Because we all get to learn from
hmm
each other, right? Oh,
totally.
wow, I totally missed that. That was my blind spot or whatever. That's beautiful. Now I can see now.
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
That is great. So we've talked about how it's kind of helped you personally, and what difference has it made in your practice with Tricor?
Well, so I started doing body work, I want to say 3 years ago now, and I was just getting frustrated and honestly with my own personal pain issues that I was having. But I am not the kind of practitioner that I just like to take your money and run, just sign you up for however many sessions and then let's hope that you get better. And so I was just getting really frustrated, and I kept feeling like I needed to learn more and go do more. And I'd already invested so much in my education. I was like, why isn't this stuff working the way that they say it's going to work?
Right.
So as things do, when you kind of like, as you learn, when you start going on this path, you start asking for things and they just fall into your lap. And I had tried a few pretty outside the box modalities for myself as well. I had this chronic neck pain, and it just wasn't really going away, and had dumped lots of money into it. And so my frustration with my own body combined with the frustration I was getting from my clients was just like so stressful for me as a practitioner, just wanting to do good by everybody. And I'm sure all body workers can relate to that. Like, we get into that business to help people. We don't do it. If you were doing something for money, you would have got in real estate or something. Like,
Right.
we want to help people. So it's just frustrating. And, so my friend Ashley, who also has taken Voila, just something told me to reach out to her that day and see if she could get me in for a session. And then that was the day she told me about Voila. And I don't know how to describe it, but when she told me what it was, she's like, I don't really even know what I'm going to take, but here, check out the website. And I really didn't even know what to make of it from the website.
Right.
There was just this gut instinct. It was like I got lit up by the idea of it. And she didn't really have much information to give me. It was just it was a knowing. It was, you have to go do this.
Mhm.
So went and did it. And like within the first 10 minutes of the seminar, my mind was just like and it was just this knowing of, I knew I was supposed to be here for this reason. Like, it just, I wanted answers. And not only did it wasn't that I got answers, it was that I got possibility, and I got a spark of curiosity. It wasn't like you just gave us all the answers, like here's how we're going to solve all your problems. It sparked this curiosity and this, wow, things aren't actually the way that we think they are. It's completely different. And so that's what I mean by like open my mind to this whole new world that I never thought possible. So the long of the short is it's allowed me to play with my clients more, to have more fun with them, to give them some answers, and get them involved in the process. So it doesn't feel like I'm just working on them. It's like we're working together to come to a solution.
Yeah.
And it's really putting the healing in their hands, because they come to you and they're like, fix me. And then it's like, I always tell them, we're working together to do this. We are a team. So I would say it's brought me more connection with my clients. And as you go through the levels of Voila, you learn the emotional protocol. And that was such a game changer for me with my clients, because it was like stuff, that pains that they had for ever since I'd seen them were starting to get better once we started to release the emotions around it. and people get really scared about the emotions, but you keep it light and you keep it fun, and things
Right.
release easier than people think they're going to, you know. It's like they think, oh, I have to do emotional work, and it's like, no, it's fun. Like, let's just play and just see what comes up, you know.
Yeah,
So
and that's that curiosity, right?
yep.
That we always talk about. You got to be curious. You got to be curious and non-judgmental, right?
Exactly. And
Make
I
it
always tell my
fun.
clients, you know, you're a mirror for me. So just know that everything you're presenting to me is something that I've gone through or I'm going through. So there's no judgment. We're, you know, that's kind of, to get esoteric, that's how you start figuring out, oh, we're all just part of the same energy anyways. But you kind of have to learn that on your own time.
I remember it was about 4 months ago or something. You had sent me a message and you're like, Joel, every client I have coming in is angry. I'm like, so right back. So are you ready?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because it was with anger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I actually ended up getting to the bottom of recently. I'll have to tell you about that.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. But there's something that you talked about earlier, and I don't want to forget this and gloss over it, because I think a lot of people deal with this issue of perfectionism.
Yes. Yeah.
So kind of explain your idea, philosophy on perfectionism and how that's maybe changed or transformed.
Yeah. So perfectionism has definitely been something I've dealt with most of my life. I think a lot of us deal with it, but especially for me, it came in the package of eating disorder. So ever since, I want to say it started, I mean, we found out in VOILA, it really started at age 7, but it started to get to the point of becoming a disorder, I would say around 12, 13. And that perfectionism around my body bled into every aspect of my life, even, you know, school and learning. And it's like, I couldn't let myself fail. And, just having this, it was debilitating because it honestly kept me from doing anything because I'd be afraid if I wasn't perfect at something or that I just wouldn't do it. And so I feel like, you know, developing the confidence to fail, which is honestly what a lot of VOILA has given me, because, you know, you're working in a group and you're working with people at the seminars and everybody's failing, but like,
Not perfect at it yet.
Right. You don't even have to really call it failing because we're all just like trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so you learn each time you fail. Oh, okay. And then you remember. And I don't know, I think just the process of going through all that and just being, like something being new to me again and feeling like a fresh student again and just being in a place where your growth can be celebrated and everybody's excited about it really helped to dismantle that a little bit. And then, it's just as I've started to release a lot of the stuff that happened around being a child and honestly, I used this word before, but programming, it all is just programming. And you start to learn how, wow, I was just programmed to believe that in school or wherever. It doesn't even matter. It's just growing up. And so you start to really question your beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell people a lot that, VOILA has changed my beliefs on certain things. And it's just like, you just got to be open to it. And if you're not, you're the one that's limiting you.
Exactly. You're the only one limiting you. Yeah.
So, and if you don't want to answer this question, that's fine. You can just say the next question or whatever. So, but I just want to ask you, like, how is your relationship with food these days?
Oh, I mean, it's much better. I think that that's something that, you're now I'm in a point where I'm learning how to take care of my vessel, and not look at it as this thing that needs to be perfect. It's what makes me feel good. Right. And so, I mean, I haven't practiced an eating disorder for, I think I was 24 when it started actually clearing up, but it's almost like, even though the practice wasn't there, it's like the term dry drunk. Like, even though you're sober, you're still having all the same issues as you had now you just don't have the coping mechanism. So it's showing up in other ways, like
That's
pain in your body.
Analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, I almost thought I was doing better when I came to VOILA, and then I realized, oh my gosh, like there's still so much here. And so it allowed me to tap into into the subconscious to see what was storing in there. Cause the conscious mind thought I was okay. Right. The conscious mind is like, we're done with this. We've done so much work around this. And then the subconscious is like, no, sister, like we're still holding on to all this. You got to clear out all this. So
and how often do you hear that with your clients, right? Oh no, I dealt with that a long time ago.
all the time, every session. Even if we've brought it up in a session before, didn't we deal with that the last session? I'm like, still coming up.
Yeah.
You know, and then you notice that's how it was with me. I felt like every time I worked with you or with another practitioner, I was getting the same themes coming up. And so you kind of start to notice like, oh, that's my block right there, that's that thing that I just keep coming back to. And so it makes it easier to focus on once you know what your theme is.
Yes, and that's a little 2.5 hint for some of you villagers that are watching this, right?
Yeah.
We'll find out what your loop is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
super interesting.
And that's freeing, isn't it? That brings you some freedom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It brings you a lot of freedom.
Right.
And then you just realize I don't have to have that. It's almost like, you know, I think you've given the baby elephant example, but it's like you're drowning and then you just stand up. You're like, so it's like drowning in shallow water. So, you know, easier said than done for some people sometimes, but you kind of start to learn it really can be that easy. Just allow it to be easy. So.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you said earlier, though, is that programming, right? Talking about my emotions is painful, is what we've been taught as a kid. And as a guy, we're taught not to really have them. And I talk about this sometimes, is like, so a woman will come up to me or another male in the group, and they're like, just feel it. And us guys are going, I don't know what you mean.
Right. Yeah, because you've been taught to feel it.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. I love working with men, and I get a lot of them as clients, to be honest. And nowadays they seem to be more and more open-minded around this, but I feel like I try to make talking about emotions not scary. And so, but I do notice that like initially when I started doing this emotional protocol, the men would get all weird about it. As soon as I'd be like, oh, I think it's emotional, they'd be like, you know, it's just like,
they haven't even heard what it is yet, right?
No, I haven't even brought anything up. Yeah. Just freeze mode.
Yeah.
Or they start arguing with me. No, it can't be it. So yeah, it's, but when you have a conversation with a man and you actually sense that he is starting to feel, there is like nothing like that. Like when I'm experiencing that with him, and you can see that this might be one of the first times he's actually tapped into that, and it's beautiful. So
I would love for you to expand on that, just for the guys out there that might be watching this that may not fully understand what you just said. Can you just expand on this just a little bit more? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, no, I have actually a client example. I was talking to a friend actually over Instagram Messenger the other day, and something just told me, I had a client cancellation. Of course, things just work out as they should. And I was bored, and I was talking to him, and something just told me to ask him if he wanted me to check him and see what I was picking up on. So I did the emotional protocol, and sure enough, figured out a personal situation that was going on with him. It was something in his like romantic life. And all I had to do was really ask him a question about it. And then I could tell he was starting to trip out a little, because he's like, how do you know that, first of all? But I started just getting him to feel, and it was, you know, the process of sending joy to another person. And it was like he had taken on some of her emotions, and I was helping him just send her joy. And at first he didn't understand it, and so I kept sending him voice notes to explain it more, and talking about how to feel the sensations in his body when he feels certain things. So connecting to his joy, what makes him feel joyful, and then feeling it in his body and asking him what sensations he's feeling. And it clicked for him, and he just all of a sudden was like, what are you doing to me? And then he said, my eyes are welling up with tears and my whole body is tingling. And he was just so moved by that connection to his own joy, and then being able to send that outwards to somebody else who he knew needed it. And then it was funny because I'm like, and don't be surprised if she reaches out to you in the next couple days, or you run into her. And no joke, I want to say 2 hours later, he screenshotted and sent me she had texted him. I'm like, yeah, that's how energy works,
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I guess that's just an example of, it's really just being able to feel those sensations in your body and allowing yourself to receive that, right? So not being closed off to feeling that, because I think that's what a lot of people are. I know I've experienced that, where I've been closed off to feeling joy, and it comes down, at least personally, it came down to feeling undeserving of it.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, oh, that's silly that I feel undeserving of it. And that's kind of what I went through with him, was like, well, that makes you feel joyful. So like, what does that feel like? Receive that, And as soon as he allowed it, it was like, oh, like he had a full body reaction,
Yeah. And I love what you just said there. And I want to make sure people heard it, is once you connected to what it was, you thought, how silly is this?
Yeah.
And I call it, laughing at the dragon, or your ego. Laugh at it, but not laugh at it as a derogatory, but to laugh with it, going, oh God, that was silly.
Mm-hmm.
And then it lets go of that grip that it has on you.
Totally. Yeah, it's not to like shame your ego or shame yourself for having an ego, because we need our ego, but it's just the ego latches onto certain beliefs, and then you don't question them because you almost don't even realize they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you realize, oh, I'm the one blocking myself from feeling this, everything just starts to make sense.
I just love the permagrin you have on your face.
I know, these days it's hard to make it go away. Especially when I'm talking about this stuff. I get so lit up when I'm talking about this kind of stuff. And, my clients always say that to me. They're like, I'm just excited to like be around you when you're working, because you just get so excited about it. And I'm like, because it's so cool.
Yeah, it's just that passion. And I want to just help maybe tie this in for people, is like how it's changed your relationships with yourself, your husband, and with your clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's helped me feel more connected to them, and realize that we really are all kind of going through the same stuff, and also opened up their minds to things, because instead of just being like, I mean, my husband, for example, he was just recently in a car accident about 10 weeks ago. And, we've been working on some stuff together. Joel's worked with him a bit. And it's just been so nice. Like when he comes home from physical therapy and he's like, oh, they're saying this and this, and it's going to take this long. I'm like, yeah, let's play later. It's like, he knows he doesn't have to take everything at face value, what they tell him at the doctors and what they tell him at physical therapy. It's just like, yeah, you could believe that. Like, but let's talk later, And so it just keeps everything lighter, I want to say, because I feel deeper. Like when,
I'm talking about how hot it is in Phoenix. Right?
Yes. Yeah. It's lighter. I mean, in the point of like physical stuff, like when people are getting really overwhelmed with and getting really into their story of all the physical things that are going on with them. But yeah, it's also like, I have had some of the most profound experiences working on my husband and my father. Like I've worked on my mom a lot too, but specifically the two of them, doing VOILA on my father was like, it like makes me emotional even thinking about it, And
because
Joel was there for
psychologist, correct?
Mm-hmm. He's a clinical psychologist. He's brilliant man.
Brilliant. Yeah.
He's been practicing for 40 plus years. And I do have to say, like, he has lots of different interests, and he likes to incorporate lots of things, or he used to. And then he kind of, recently we were talking, and I want to take this much credit for it, because I'm always like, hey, let's do some work together, And whenever he has little injuries, I'm like, oh, let's just see what's there. And together we've opened up his mind to the possibilities, and he's 73, and he's saying stuff to me like the other day, I really feel like my job is actually a calling now. And before I was feeling like it was just a job. and I want to start playing with hypnosis and with this and with that again. And I see him getting so excited, and I'm like, he's 73 years old. Like, he should maybe be thinking about retiring. And he's like excited about his work.
Invigorated.
And right, exactly. And so, and I really, I think it's easy for people like that to be in the mindset of like, I'm just here to help others and not think about themselves. And so I really try to look out for him in that way of like, hey, like, let's look out for you too.
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to see him have like an emotional experience. I've only seen my father cry like 3 times in my life. And so to be able to facilitate for him while he has that experience has been just so humanizing on both ends.
Great word.
Yeah. Because it's like you
it's
kind
not
of
like
put your parents.
It's not like you're out there to try to make your dad cry. Right?
No.
Let's be clear with everybody.
Yeah, no, it's just I know that it's good for him to do that, right? And I know that it's good for him to feel heard and feel seen and have that experience. And so, and it makes me see him as a human and not my father that I put up on a pedestal, and this brilliant man. And in the session that he had with Joel and I, like, we both looked each other in the eyes, and he told me how proud he was of me and how much he admired me and admired everything I'm doing. And here I am thinking like, but look at all the stuff you've done, So yeah, I would say like my relationships have greatly shifted. And same thing with my husband. It's like he's willing to go to the deeper places with me now, where before it was almost like our relationship was kind of surface level. Like, we had a good relationship, we were happy, but we weren't exploring each other's like deeper sides, and sometimes with Voila, I'm able to pull things out of him that he wouldn't think to share with me. So he even says he likes it because it's easier, because sometimes he's like, I don't know what to say, and then when we do Voila, I'm kind of telling him what I'm picking up on, and then he's able to elaborate on that if he wants to. And so it's been really cool.
So you kind of crack the door for him, and then it's up to him to open it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And he's gotten a lot more comfortable like talking about that stuff with me. So, I figure if he can get comfortable talking in a safe space with me, then maybe it'll, and it has. He's a musician, and so it's kind of shifted the way he shares. He does instrumental music, but all of the instrumental music is inspired by emotion. And I've noticed he's been posting about more like on Instagram, like what the songs mean and the emotional piece behind the song and sharing. So, and that's big for him, because he used to say, I don't know how to talk about my emotions. And now he's like just posting it for everyone to see. So
and are you hearing a change in the music as far as how it's being played and heard?
Yes.
What I mean by that, because I've worked with people with their guitars, and I could literally tune them to their guitar, and all of a sudden it sounds like it's all being projected.
Yeah, he's incredible to watch. And I feel like he used to get stuck a lot more. Like, he'd be like working on a song and just kind of get stuck. And now it just seems like he allows a lot more. And I remember the first time I told him that's what I thought was happening, it was like a light bulb went off. I think it was at our level 2 training. You said something at lunch like, oh, when people hear music in their ears, it's God working through them or something like that. And I texted my husband. I said that because he hears music all the time in his head. And I said, that's God working with you. And he was like sent me like the mind blown emoji, and I feel like ever since then, I'm like, it's okay if you get stuck, like just allow. And, maybe you need to walk away from it for a little while, but it'll always show up because you're willing and you're open. So.
Yeah. I just want to go back to your dad really quickly. And when you put up your finger, maybe you helped him like this much. Well, I think the viewers are hearing a much bigger than that much. Because it's your, this is a word, but your infectionism, your joy, right? That you are now sharing and who Teresa is. Everybody wants to be around that.
Yeah, it's true. Once you start connecting to that joy and you start figuring out, what happens when you connect to joy is that you don't want anything else, right? It's not like you're not okay with experiencing negative emotions, because I definitely still experience that. But it's just that, like, jobs that I maybe didn't want to do anymore, stuff like that. Like, that's what I mean by Voila has really totally changed my life. I'm like, well, I've experienced this from doing this, so why can't I just do this? And you just don't question it as much. I'm just like, I'm going to follow my joy instead of telling myself I don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to be a part of that when you do that. And then it affects them, and it's a domino effect, because then they want to follow their joy. And so in reality, when you start following your joy, you're going to affect everybody around you, and they're going to create more joy in their lives.
Yeah. And you connecting with yourself and then helping other clients connect with themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now, I know you have a client coming up soon, so we'll wrap this up here, unless you got tons more to say, because I think we could talk for hours.
I know, right? Part 2, maybe.
Right. Well, yeah, there we go. Part 2. And well, my computer is cooperating this time. But what would you like to say to somebody who's thinking maybe about taking this journey that we call a Voila Method?
I would say, don't think about it, just do it. Because if you think about it too much, then you're going to talk yourself out of it. And when I, like I talked at the beginning, when I felt the call to go take Voila, I really was just listening to a body response. And, the mind is just a processing agent. It's not meant to make all of our decisions for us. We're meant to really communicate with our body and allow the body to help you make decisions. And I didn't know how to describe it. All I could describe it was a sense of excitement in my body. And if you're feeling that when you hear and see things about Voila and you're feeling called to it, don't just stop thinking about it and then just make it happen. Like, I didn't even have the money for it when I first went to do it. I just put it on a credit card. And now all of that's paid off because I'm doing what I love and I'm getting clients, and it's to get esoteric, it's like the law of attraction. So it just all starts to work. And Voila was really just what jump started me into that mindset and just opened so many doors for me. So if you want to have fun and you want to learn something really cool and have your mind blown all weekend long, go take a seminar. It's just a blast.
Well, thank you. God, I had so much that I kind of, I don't know where my mind just went when you were talking about that. Oh my God! I honestly, I was like, I was out of body there, because I think it's because it's not about me.
Yeah.
You are going there to find and explore you.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what, and I hope that just gets across to the viewers, because it's your journey. It's not my journey for you. It's yours on your own. And we're just finding the little potholes or blind spots so you don't have them anymore.
Exactly. You're engaging with a group of people who is also wanting to go on this journey to learn about themselves and learn about each other. And yeah, it's self-exploration, but it's like the whole world exploration too, when you start to relate what you learn in Voila to everything else. So it's definitely, it's bigger than what it seems. So just prepare to have major shifts.
And you have, my dear. Oh my God, it's been
Yep.
so fun.
So fun. I'm excited to just keep growing and learning, and never stop learning and never stop being curious. So that's really what Voila has taught me, like, never stop being curious. And that's just how I live my life now. So
I love it. I'm so glad I had you as a guest. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joel. Appreciate it.
So once again, this is Teresa Brenneman. She is in Phoenix, Arizona with Tri-Core Group Fitness. Is there any other way they can get a hold of you, Teresa?
Yeah, my website is howtobealion.com.
Nice.
Yeah. And I have, you can get a hold of me on Instagram, Facebook, any of that stuff. So
on Teresa Brenneman or How to Be a Lion?
You can go, howtobealion.com will be my website. And then Teresa Brenneman for all social media, if you want to search me on there. Perfect. I'm always happy to talk about any of this stuff. So if you have any questions about Voila or the work or anything, then shoot me a message.
All right. I truly appreciate that. And I appreciate you, Teresa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you, Joel.